Victoria fined me $8,750 for violating HOA rules on my own property, and the paper was still warm when the transformer behind her street popped and the entire row of houses went dark. Her crew had just hammered a warning sign into my soil, right over my utility access line, like they owned it. That land wasn't shared, wasn't leased, it was mine, every inch down to the buried conduit feeding their homes. The air smelled like hot wire insulation as the grid went silent, and nobody on her board realized what that line actually controlled. I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice, because I knew exactly which switch fed their entire block. My name is Ethan Caldwell, and I designed the original utility layout they've been using for years. And this was just the first outage. I stood there while the street stayed dark, and the only sound left was a distant car alarm struggling to reset itself. Victoria did not move at first. Her smile held for about 2 seconds too long, then cracked just slightly at the edges. Someone down the block opened their garage door halfway before it froze mid-track with a sharp metal click. Another house flickered, tried to recover, then gave up. The air felt different without the low electrical hum. Still. Pressurized. Like something waiting. Victoria stepped off the curb, heels tapping against the asphalt, each step sharper than the last. She waved her clipboard once, like she was brushing away a problem she did not understand yet. The sign her crew planted tilted slightly in the loose soil, right above the access point she had just buried under regulation language and fines. I could see the fresh dirt around it, darker than the rest of the yard, still soft from being disturbed that morning. She stopped a few feet away from me. Close enough for that expensive perfume to cut through the burnt wire smell. "This is exactly what I warned you about," she said, voice tight but controlled. "Unapproved modifications cause safety risks." I looked past her, not at her. A porch light flickered again, then died completely. Someone shouted from inside one of the houses. Not panic. Not yet. Just confusion. I folded the fine notice again, slower this time. Lining up the edges perfectly. The paper made a clean, dry sound. Victoria followed the motion with her eyes, like it meant something. It did. "You installed that line without HOA approval," she continued. "We have every right to enforce compliance." The word compliance hung in the air like it belonged to her. I let a few seconds pass. The silence stretched. No hum. No airflow from the vents. Even the streetlights stayed off. That was the part most people never noticed until it was gone. Systems are quiet when they work. They only speak when they fail. I shifted my weight and felt the ground under my boots. Solid. Familiar. Mine. Beneath that soil ran a conduit older than her entire board. Steel reinforced. Hand measured. Routed before this neighborhood had a name. She tapped her clipboard once, impatient now. The sound was sharper than it should have been in the silence. "We can escalate this if needed," she said. Liens. Legal action. Service interruption authorization. That last phrase was almost funny. Almost. A man stepped out onto his driveway 2 houses down, phone in hand, staring at a dead screen like it had betrayed him. Another garage door tried to move again and failed with a dull motor groan. Victoria did not turn around. She kept her eyes on me, waiting for a reaction, for an argument, for anything she could document and use. I gave her none of that. Because she was standing exactly where she should not be standing, making threats she did not understand. The access node sat 3 feet to her left, under that fresh patch of soil her crew had just compacted. Direct feed line. Primary distribution. Everything on this side of the block ran through it before branching out. I had designed it that way on purpose. Simple. Efficient. Centralized. Controllable. I glanced down at the ground for a moment, then back up at her. She caught the glance. Her eyes followed it briefly, then returned to my face. A small crease formed between her brows. That was new. "If you do not resolve this today," she said, voice sharper now, "we will take further steps." Another pause. Longer this time. Somewhere behind her, a backup generator tried to kick in and failed with a coughing sound. The neighborhood was starting to notice. Really notice. Doors opening. Voices carrying. Questions rising. I could feel the shift, the moment where confusion turns into attention. And attention always looks for someone to blame. Victoria straightened her posture, adjusting her grip on the clipboard like it was armor. She still thought this was about rules. About paperwork. About authority printed on letterhead. I let out a slow breath, tasting the faint metallic edge still hanging in the air. Then I looked directly at her for the first time since she walked over. Not at the clipboard. Not at the badge. At her. And I realized she still had no idea what she had just shut off. Victoria's eyes narrowed just enough for me to see the shift. Not fear. Not yet. Just confusion trying to find a place to land. Behind her, more doors opened. A man stepped out holding a flashlight, even though it was still late afternoon. He clicked it twice before it steadied. The beam cut across his driveway and stopped on the dead garage door like it might answer him. Another neighbor called out something about the power company. No response came back. No trucks. No sirens. Just that same heavy silence sitting over everything. Victoria turned her head slightly this time, finally acknowledging the street behind her. Her jaw tightened. Then she faced me again, faster than before, like she did not want to lose control of the moment. "This is not how this works," she said, voice lower now. "Less performance. More pressure. You do not get to interfere with community systems." The word community sounded different now. Less solid. I glanced past her again, tracking the pattern. Every house on this side. Every line running exactly where I knew it would. The layout had not changed. They built over it. Painted over it. Regulated it. But they never replaced it. That was the mistake. A faint metallic tick came from somewhere underground. Cooling. Contracting. The kind of sound you only notice if you know what you are listening for. Victoria heard it too. Her eyes flicked down again, quicker this time. That crease between her brows deepened. She shifted her stance half an inch, just enough to step closer to the spot her crew had disturbed earlier. Her heel pressed into the loose soil. It sank slightly. She pulled it back, irritated. "If this outage is connected to your unauthorized work," she said, words sharper again, "you are liable for every single property here." Liability. Another word she thought she owned. A phone started ringing somewhere nearby. Then another. Not cell phones. Landlines. The old system trying to route through a network that was no longer responding. The sound echoed strangely without power to dampen it. I watched her process that. The delay. The mismatch between what she expected and what was happening. That was where the crack widened. I unfolded the paper just enough to glance at the fine again. The ink was still clean. Fresh. Official. Meaningless. I held it between two fingers, then lowered it slowly to my side. The gravel shifted again under my boots. Familiar rhythm. Grounded. Intentional. "You buried a live access point this morning," I said, calm, even. No rush. Her eyes locked onto mine immediately. There it was. Focus. "That line," I added, nodding slightly toward the patch of soil, "is not decorative." A flicker of something crossed her face. Not understanding. Not yet. But close. Very close. Behind her, the man with the flashlight stepped farther into the street. He swept the beam across the row of houses, then toward us. The light caught the edge of the sign her crew planted. The metal post reflected it back in a sharp line. Authority hammered into the ground. Right above the one place it should never have touched. Victoria followed the beam for a split second, then looked back at me. "Then fix it," she said, quick, almost reflexive. There was a pause right after. She heard it too. The assumption in her own voice. I did not move. Did not reach for anything. Did not explain. The silence stretched again, thicker now, filled with voices starting to rise in the distance. Questions turning into demands. She shifted her weight again, this time away from the disturbed soil without realizing it. One small step. Instinct. "You said you can escalate," I replied quietly, letting the words settle between us. Her grip tightened on the clipboard. Paper edges bending slightly under pressure. The first real sign of strain. I glanced once more at the ground, then back at her. Because the system had not failed. It had responded exactly the way it was designed to. And she was standing right on top of the reason why. Victoria did not respond right away. That was new. The clipboard in her hand shifted slightly as her grip tightened, the edge of the paper bending just enough to break its clean line. Behind her, the voices were no longer casual. They were sharper now. Questions turned into names. Someone said her name. Loud enough to carry. She ignored it. For now. The man with the flashlight stepped closer, the beam cutting across the ground and stopping right where the soil had been disturbed. He paused there. Too long. Like he could feel something was off even if he could not explain it. The smell of heated wire faded, replaced by that dry, empty stillness systems leave behind when they stop moving. Victoria drew in a breath, slow, controlled, but it did not settle her shoulders the way she expected. "Then explain it," she said. Not a command this time. Not fully. There was a thin edge of uncertainty underneath it. I let the silence sit for a second longer. Not to intimidate. Just to let the environment speak for me. No hum. No airflow. No background noise to hide behind. "That line feeds this entire side of the block," I said, nodding once toward the ground. "Primary distribution before it branches." Her eyes followed the motion again, slower now. Calculating. She crouched slightly, just enough to look closer without committing to it. Her heel shifted again in the loose soil. The post of the sign leaned a fraction more. A small detail. But it mattered. The man with the flashlight lowered his beam, focusing it directly on the base of the sign. The metal shimmered. Fresh install. No permit markings. No safety tags. Just branding. Victoria noticed that too. I saw it in the way her lips pressed together. A car door slammed somewhere down the street. Then another. Footsteps followed. Multiple. Closing distance. The neighborhood was waking up to the problem, and problems always look for a center. She stood up straight again, faster this time, like staying low made her feel exposed. "You are saying this is because of that?" she asked, pointing now. Not at me. At the ground. That was the shift. I did not answer right away. Instead, I glanced past her at the row of houses. Every window dark. Every system paused. Waiting. "I am saying you drove a post through a protected access line," I replied, calm, even. The words landed heavier than she expected. Protected. Access. Line. Not terms she used. Not one she could bend. Her eyes flicked back to the clipboard for a split second, like it might have the answer printed somewhere on it. It did not. The flashlight beam moved again, tracing along the edge of the soil, then catching a faint outline beneath it. A seam. Almost invisible unless you knew where to look. The man holding the light took one step closer. Then stopped. "Is that a cover?" he asked, half to himself. Victoria did not respond. She was staring at the same spot now, the crease in her brow deepening into something harder. Not confusion anymore. Realization trying to push through. The ground beneath that patch was not just dirt. It was layered. Reinforced. Designed. I could see the moment it connected for her. Not fully. Not yet. But enough to feel it. Enough to understand this was bigger than a rule violation. Bigger than a fine. The voices behind her grew louder. A woman asked why her refrigerator shut off. Another asked about medical equipment. The word equipment hung in the air longer than anything else. Victoria heard that. Her shoulders stiffened. Her eyes snapped back to mine. For the first time, there was no performance left in her expression. Just calculation. Fast. Urgent. "Then turn it back on," she said. Quieter now. Controlled, but different. Not authority. Request dressed up as a demand. I looked at the sign one more time. The clean metal. The fresh install. The exact placement. Then I looked back at her. Because the system was not off by accident. And fixing it was not as simple as flipping something back. Victoria's voice did not echo the way it used to. It landed flat in the silence, like it no longer carried the same. Wait. The people behind her were closer now. Shoes on pavement. Car doors left open. A low murmur building into something sharper. The man with the flashlight shifted again, lowering the beam directly onto the seam in the ground. He knelt this time. Careful. Curious. "There is a panel here," he said, brushing away a thin layer of dirt with his hand. The outline became clearer. Circular. Reinforced. Not something decorative. Not something casual. Victoria turned halfway toward him, then stopped. Like she did not want to fully acknowledge what he was seeing. Her grip on the clipboard tightened again. The paper inside creased harder this time. "Do not touch that," she said quickly. Too quickly. The man froze, hand hovering above the surface. Not because she had authority. Because something in her tone had changed. It was no longer confident. It was reactive. I watched her process the scene in pieces. The sign. The soil. The panel. The outage. Each detail stacking in her head, but not yet forming a complete picture. "You said to turn it back on," I said, steady, letting the words settle between us. She looked at me immediately. Fast. Almost sharp. "Yes," she replied. Short. Direct. But her eyes flicked once toward the panel again. That hesitation stayed there. Small. Visible. I took one step forward. Gravel shifted under my boots, the sound louder now that everything else was gone. The air felt cooler without the systems running. Still. Waiting. "That line does not reset like a light switch," I continued. "It routes load across multiple points." Her expression tightened. The words were technical, but the tone mattered more than the meaning. She could hear the difference. Behind her, someone raised their voice. "My freezer just shut off," a woman said. Another voice answered, "Same here." A third voice, quieter but more urgent, mentioned medication needing refrigeration. That word traveled fast. It always does. Victoria heard it. I saw it hit her. Her posture changed. Not much. Just enough. The kind of shift you only notice if you are looking for it. She turned slightly, scanning the small crowd forming behind her. Faces now. Not just voices. Expectation building. Pressure finding a target. Then she turned back to me again. Then what needs to happen, she asked, slower now. Careful. Choosing each word instead of throwing them. That was new. I looked down at the panel. The faint seam. The reinforced edges. The exact point where her crew drove that post. It needs to be cleared, inspected, and reopened properly, I said. Simple. Direct. No extra weight. Her eyes dropped to the sign immediately. For the first time, she really looked at it. Not as branding. Not as authority. As an object placed in the wrong place. The metal post leaned slightly more now, the soil around it loosening with every step people took nearby. The man with the flashlight stood up slowly, backing away from the panel without being told this time. He understood enough. Not everything. But enough. Victoria exhaled once, controlled, but it did not hide the tension in her shoulders anymore. Then remove it, she said, nodding toward the sign. The words sounded simple. Easy. Like they should solve the problem. I did not move. Did not bend. Did not reach for anything. Because this was not about removing a sign. And she was just starting to realize that. I glanced at the clipboard in her hand. The fine still clipped neatly to the top. Official. Enforced. Documented. Then I looked back at her. You authorized that installation, I said quietly. The sentence hung there. Heavier than anything else so far. The voices behind her softened for a moment, like even they could feel the shift. Responsibility does that. It changes the air. Victoria did not respond right away. Her eyes moved from me, to the sign, to the panel, then back again. Slower this time. No shortcuts left. No assumptions to hide behind. Just pieces she had to connect. And she was running out of time to do it. Victoria did not blink this time. She held my gaze, but the certainty was gone. It had drained out somewhere between the panel and the voices behind her. The clipboard in her hand lowered half an inch without her noticing. That was the first real crack. The crowd had formed now. Not organized. Not calm. Just neighbors pulled by the same problem, standing in small clusters, looking toward the. Only two people not asking questions. The man with the flashlight stepped back again, giving the panel space like it mattered. It did. A woman crossed her arms tightly, eyes fixed on Victoria, waiting. Not for answers. For action. The air felt tighter. Like the whole block was holding something in. Victoria shifted her weight again, but there was nowhere for her to step that did not lead back to that patch of ground. Then we remove it, she said again, firmer this time, like repeating it could make it true. Her voice carried just enough for the people behind her to hear. A few heads nodded. Simple solution. Remove the sign. Fix the problem. Move on. That was how this usually worked for her. Quick decisions. Clean outcomes. Authority restored. I did not move. The gravel stayed quiet under my boots. The panel stayed buried. The sign stayed leaning. That post went through a secured access cover, I said, keeping my voice level. Not loud. Not rushed. It is not just sitting on top of it. The words slowed everything down. The idea had to land before it could settle. Victoria's eyes flicked to the base of the sign again. She crouched this time. Fully. One hand reaching toward the metal post. She stopped just short of touching it. The hesitation was clear now. No performance left. Just caution. How deep, she asked, without looking up. That question mattered. It meant she understood enough to ask the right thing. 12 inches of reinforced steel below grade, I answered. The post is anchored into it. She closed her eyes for a brief second. Not long. Just enough to reset. When she opened them again, the calculation was faster. Sharper. But not complete. So we pull it out, she said, still crouched, still focused on the base. Her voice was quieter now. Directed. I shook my head once. Small. Controlled. If you pull it without releasing the seal, you risk damaging the line further, I said. The word risk carried more weight than anything else so far. Behind her, someone asked what was taking so long. Another voice followed, louder this time. Can someone call the city? A third voice answered, they are already on hold. The pressure shifted again. Not just. Toward her. Toward a solution. Toward responsibility. Victoria stood up slowly. The movement was measured now. No sharp edges. No quick gestures. She looked at the crowd behind her for a second longer than before. Really looked this time. Saw the faces. The expectations. Then she turned back to me. Then what is the correct process, she asked. No edge. No command. Just a question. Clear. Direct. That was the moment everything changed. I let a second pass. Not to stall. To make sure she understood the shift she just made. The line has to be isolated, pressure tested, and reopened through the main junction, I said. That requires access from both ends. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Not in defiance. In focus. Where are the access points, she asked. I looked down at the panel again. Then past her, toward the far end of the block. One is here, I said. The other is not on HOA property. That detail landed harder than anything else. The crowd quieted just enough to feel it. Victoria followed my gaze down the street. The realization hit slower this time, but deeper. Because control did not sit where she thought it did. And for the first time, she understood she might have to ask permission. Victoria did not answer right away. Her eyes stayed fixed down the street where I had looked, like the answer might be sitting there waiting for her to claim it. The crowd followed that same line of sight, heads turning in quiet sync, trying to understand what they could not see. A car engine turned over somewhere, then died again almost immediately. The sound echoed longer than it should have. Systems were still offline. Nothing was stabilizing on its own. Victoria straightened her shoulders, slower this time, like she was rebuilding something piece by piece. Where exactly, she asked, more controlled now. Not demanding. Precise. I let my gaze travel down the road again, past the identical driveways, past the trimmed hedges, past the edge of what the HOA considered its boundary. End of the line, I said. Beyond your last lot. That landed. Not loud. Not dramatic. But it landed. A few people in the crowd exchanged looks. Someone whispered something about the old service road. Another mentioned the locked gate near the drainage easement. Pieces starting to connect. Victoria heard that too. Her eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but in calculation. She knew that area. Everyone here did. But they treated it like it did not matter. Out of sight. Out of control. That was the point. That is not part of the community, she said, almost automatically. The words came out of habit. A rule she had repeated enough times to believe. I nodded once. Exactly, I replied. The silence after that was different. Not empty. Weighted. The kind that forces people to rethink where the lines actually are. Behind her, the woman who mentioned medication stepped forward half a step, then stopped, like she did not want to interrupt but could not stay back either. So what do we do, she asked, not to me, not to anyone specific. Just into the space between us. Victoria turned slightly, acknowledging her this time. Really acknowledging her. Not as a violation. Not as a report. As a person with a problem. That was new. "We are assessing the situation," Victoria said, but the words did not carry the same certainty anymore. They sounded thinner. Temporary. The clipboard shifted again in her hand, the fine still clipped neatly at the top, now completely out of place. I took one slow step forward. Gravel pressed under my boots. Solid. Grounded. "Access has to be open from both ends," I said. "Without that, the line stays isolated." Victoria's eyes snapped back to me. Faster than before. She understood that part now. Fully. "And you have access," she said. Not a question. A realization. I did not answer immediately. The pause mattered. It let the weight settle. It let the crowd feel it too. The man with the flashlight looked between us, then down at the panel again, then back at me. He saw it. Not the full picture. But enough. "Yes," I said finally. One word. Clean. Direct. The reaction was immediate. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a shift in the air. Focus narrowing. Attention locking in. Victoria's grip on the clipboard loosened slightly. Just enough for the top page to lift at the corner in the still air. She noticed it. Pressed it back down. Regained control of something small. "Then we need to proceed," she said. The sentence was careful. Structured. But it was missing something it had before. Authority. She took one step toward me, then stopped. Close enough now that there was no space left for distance to hide behind. "Open it," she said. The words were quiet. Controlled. But this time, they were not backed by assumption. They were backed by necessity. I looked past her once more, down the street, toward the place she had just acknowledged was outside her control. Then I looked back at her. Because opening it was not the first step. And she was about to learn that the system did not respond to urgency. It responded to terms. Victoria held her position, but the ground had already shifted under her. The crowd was no longer looking at the sign or the panel. They were looking at me. That was the real change. Attention had moved. The woman who stepped forward earlier did not step back this time. She stayed where she was, arms tight, eyes fixed. Waiting. Everyone was waiting. The silence stretched again, but now it carried expectation instead of confusion. Victoria felt it. I saw it in the way her shoulders stayed squared even though her grip loosened slightly on the clipboard. She was holding on to posture because everything else was slipping. "What terms?" she asked. The question came out quieter than anything she had said so far. No edge. No performance. Just direct. I did not answer immediately. The pause mattered. Not for drama. For clarity. Because once it was said, it could not be taken back. I glanced at the fine clip to her board. The crisp paper. The printed amount. The signature line already filled. Then I looked back at her. "That violation gets voided," I said. Simple. Clean. No extra weight. Her eyes dropped to the clipboard instantly. Reflex. The corner of the paper lifted again in the still air. She pressed it down with her thumb, slower this time. Thinking. Calculating. Behind her, someone shifted. Shoes scraping lightly against pavement. The kind of small sound that only stands out when everything else is quiet. "That is administrative," she said, trying to regain ground. "We can review it. Review. Delay. Control through process." I shook my head once. Small. Final. It gets voided, I repeated. The difference landed. No space for interpretation. The crowd felt it too. The murmur dropped. Attention sharpened. Victoria held my gaze longer this time. Not challenging. Measuring. And, I continued, before she could respond, the installation order gets rescinded. Her expression tightened again. Not anger. Resistance. The last piece of authority trying to hold. That sign marks a compliance boundary, she said, but the words lacked force. Even she could hear it. I glanced at the post. The lean. The soil breaking around it. It marks the wrong line, I replied. The sentence settled between us. Heavier than before. Because now it was not just about a mistake. It was about where control actually ended. A car door slammed again down the street. Louder this time. Someone called out that their phone signal was dropping too. System stacking. Pressure building. Victoria heard that. Her jaw set, but it did not harden. It adjusted. If I agree, she said slowly, choosing each word, you restore service. Not a demand. A negotiation. Clear. Direct. I nodded once. After proper access is cleared from both ends, I said. No shortcuts. No exceptions. Her eyes flicked down the street again, toward the place she did not control. Then back to me. The gap between those 2 points was the entire problem. She understood that now. Fully. The clipboard shifted in her hand again. This time, she unhooked the clip. The metal snapped softly in the quiet air. The sound carried. Everyone heard it. She pulled the fine free, holding it for a second, looking at it like it belonged to someone else. Then she folded it once. Not as precise as mine. Not clean. Just enough. The crowd leaned in without moving. Subtle. Collective. The violation is void, she said. The words were steady, but not loud. They did not need to be. They landed anyway. She lowered the paper slightly. And the installation order is suspended, she added. Not rescinded. Not yet. Still holding a piece back. Still trying to keep something. I did not move. Did not reach for anything. Because that was not enough. And she knew it the moment she said it. Victoria did not move after she said it. The paper stayed in her hand, folded but not gone, like she was not ready to let it disappear completely. The crowd felt that hesitation. It hung in the air, thin but noticeable. The man with the flashlight shifted again, the beam lowering to the panel, then lifting back toward her face. Waiting. Everyone was waiting. I held her gaze for a second longer, then glanced at the sign. The post leaned another fraction, the soil loosening with every step around it. The seam beneath it was clearer now. Exposed. Suspended is not enough, I said. Calm. Even. The words did not need force. They had weight on their own. Victoria's jaw tightened slightly. Not in defiance. In recognition. She knew exactly what that meant. Behind her, the woman with the medication spoke again, softer this time but sharper in focus. Please, she said. Just one word. It cut through everything else. Victoria closed her eyes for a brief second. When she opened them, the calculation was gone. Replaced by something simpler. Decision. She looked at the sign, then at the panel, then back at me. No shortcuts left. The installation order is rescinded, she said. The word landed clean this time. No room to pull it back. The crowd shifted. Not louder. Just a release of pressure. Small. Real. I nodded once. That was the line. Clear. Final. Victoria lowered the folded paper completely this time. Her hand dropped to her side. The clipboard hung loose, no longer centered, no longer leading. Authority had changed shape. I stepped forward, slow, deliberate. Gravel pressed under my boots, each step measured. The panel sat just beneath the disturbed soil, the seam now visible enough to follow. I crouched, brushing away the loose dirt with my hand. The metal surface was cool. Solid. Exactly where it had always been. The signpost stood inches away, driven through the outer casing but not deep enough to breach the internal line. That was the only reason this was still recoverable. I looked up once, meeting Victoria's eyes. She did not speak. She did not need to. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small key. Not large. Not dramatic. Just worn steel, edges smoothed by time. The kind of thing you only carry if you know exactly what it is for. The man with the flashlight leaned slightly closer, angling the beam down. The light caught the edge of the panel as I cleared the last of the dirt. A faint groove appeared, circular, precise. I slid the key into the recessed slot. It fit without resistance. Of course it did. I turned it slowly. The mechanism inside responded with a low, controlled click. Not loud. Not sharp. Just enough to signal engagement. The crowd went quiet again. Fully quiet this time. The kind of silence that listens. I shifted my grip and lifted the edge of the panel slightly. Not all the way. Just enough to break the seal. Air moved. Subtle. Pressurized. The system responding to access. I paused there. Hand on the panel. Not opening it fully yet. I looked back at Victoria one more time. She was watching the movement, not the paperwork, not the crowd. The system. Finally. Then I lowered my gaze to the opening seam again. Because restoring the flow was not the hard part. The hard part was what came next.